Hey, can you say hi to your sister? Hi. So, we are going to be reading one of the Grimm's fairy tales. This one comes out of the Children Classic Collections, which was edited by Francis Jenkins Olcott and illustrated by Ry Kramer. This story is called King Throstle-Beard. You ready? Alright. A king had a daughter who was beautiful beyond description, but so haughty and disagreeable that no suitor was good enough for her. Oh, is that so? She not only sent away one suitor after another, but also poked fun at them. Once the king gave a great feast and invited all the marriageable bachelors to come to it from far and near. They were all arranged in a line according to their rank. First came the kings, then the princes, the dukes, counts, and barons, and last of all the pages. The king's daughter moved down the line, but to everyone she had some objection to make. This one was too fat beer barrel. She ejaculated scornfully that one too tall and thin. Daddy Longlegs was her comment on him. Another was too short and stout and awkward, she said. The fourth was too pale, a death's head. A fifth too red, a turkey cock. The sixth was not upright enough, like a piece of bent wood, and so on. This is one of the illustrated pictures of the princess. She's going through the line of suitors. Well, she laughed, he has a chin like a thrush. So, the sixth was not upright enough, like a bent piece of bent wood, and so on. But the one she made especially merry over was a king with a crooked chin. Good gracious, she exclaimed, laughing. The fellow has a chin like a Throstle-Beak. And from that day, the king was given the name of Throstle-Beard. The old king grew very angry when he saw that his daughter did nothing but make fun of people. And that she despised all her suitors, and he swore she would marry the first beggar who came to his gates. A few days later, a wandering musician began to sing for alms under the window. The king heard him and ordered the man to be brought in. The musician came in his dirty, ragged clothes, sang before the king, and then asked for some small reward. The king said, "Your song has pleased me so much that I will give you my daughter's hand in marriage."
Yeah.
Yeah, working that neck and head control. You bet it. The princess shuddered, but the king went on. I made a vow that I would give... Oh, I skipped a bit. So a few days later, a wandering musician began to sing for alms under the window. The king heard him and ordered the man to be brought in. The musician came in his dirty, ragged clothes and sang before the king, and then asked for some small reward. The king said, "Your song pleased me so much that I will give you my daughter's hand in marriage." The princess shuddered, but the king went on. I made a vow that I would give her to the first beggar man who came this way, and I will hold to my vow. It was no good to resist. The clergyman was sent for, and the princess was united to the wandering musician. After the marriage, the king said, "Now you are a beggar's wife. It is no longer proper for you to stay in the castle. You and your husband must go away at once." The beggar led her out by the hand, and she was obliged to accompany him on foot. They came to a great wood, and the princess asked, "To whom does this wood belong, I wonder?" The musician replied, "It belongs to the good king Throstle-Beard. Hast thou taken him? It would be thine." And she answered, "I, a poor maiden gently reared. Ah, would I had taken King Throstle-Beard." Then they came to a meadow, and she asked again, "To whom does this pretty green meadow belong?" "It belongs to the good King Throstle-Beard. Hast thou taken him? It would be thine." And again she said, "I, a poor maiden gently reared. Ah, would I had taken King Throstle-Beard." Then they came to a big town, and again she asked, "To whom does this beautiful town belong?" "It belongs to the good King Throstle-Beard. Hast thou taken him, it would be thine." To which she replied, "I, a poor maiden, gently reared. Ah, would I had taken King Throstle-Beard." "I do not like," said the musician, "you constantly wishing for another husband. Am I not good enough?" Here's a picture. The poor maiden peeped through the doorway at the gay throng. Now, in this context, it uses the Old English verbiage. But look at all the pretty pictures. At last, they reached a very small house, and she exclaimed, "The smallest house I did ever see. Whose pray may this hovel be?" The musician answered, "It is my house, and yours where we are going to live together." "Where are the servants?" asked the princess. "What servants?" answered the beggar. "You'll have to do everything for yourself. Get to work now. Light the fire, put the water on to boil, and then cook my supper. I am very tired." But the princess knew nothing about making fires and cooking meals, and the beggar man was obliged to lend a helping hand, or nothing would have been done. For a few days they lived in this fashion, using up all their provisions, and then the man said, Look here, this can't go on. We are eating a lot and earning nothing. You shall weave baskets." He went out, cut some rushes, and brought them home. His wife began to weave, but the rough rushes tore her delicate hands. "I see," he said. "That won't do. You shall spin instead. Perhaps you will be able to spin better than you can weave." She sat down and attempted to spin, but the hard threads cut her soft fingers, and the blood poured from them. "You see," he said, "how it is. You are no good for any work, and I have made a bad bargain in marrying you. Now I must try and start a trade in pots and pans and earthenware articles. You must sit in the market and sell them." "Oh dear," thought she, "suppose anyone from my father's kingdom should come to the market and see me." But there was no help for it. The only alternative was to die of hunger. The first time she did well, for people bought the things from her because she was pretty, and willingly paid the price she asked. The two lived on her earnings as long as they lasted, and then the man bought another lot of earthenware and crockery. She sat in a corner of the marketplace, arranged her wares, and offered them for sale. Then suddenly, a drunken soldier, whose horse was running away, rode into her stall and smashed all the pots to bits. She began to cry and was in despair as to what she should do. "Oh dear, what will become of me?" she moaned. "What will my husband say?" And she ran home and told him about it. "Tears are not fitting in the eyes of a vendor of earthenware," said her husband. "You are not suited to any proper work. I have been, therefore, to the palace of our king and asked if you could not be employed there as a kitchen maid. They have promised to give you a trial, and you will get your board for nothing." So the princess became a kitchen maid. She had to judge for the cook and do the dirtiest work. She kept in a pocket under her dress a jar with a stopper in which she took home scraps, and on these she lived. It happened that the king's eldest son was to give a ball in honor of his coming of age. On the great night, the poor young woman upstairs took to look on from behind the doors of the ballroom. She almost wept at the dazzling splendor of everything, and thought with sorrow of her own wretched fate. She repented bitterly her haughty and discourteous behavior, which had plunged her into such poverty. From the costly dishes which were carried to and fro, the delicious smell of which made her mouth water. The waiters now and then threw her a few scraps, and these she put in a jar with the intent of taking them home. When the king's eldest son walked into the salon, arrayed in velvet and silk, with jewels and gold chains round his neck, He saw the poor woman peeping from behind the door, and took hold of her hand and asked her to dance with him. But she refused, trembling, for she recognized King Throstle-Beard. But in spite of her struggles, he insisted on drawing her into the hall. When the string that closed the pocket under her dress gave way, her jar rolled out, and the soups and scraps fell all over the floor. The people laughed, and she rushed to the door, longing to escape. But on the staircase, a man stopped her and brought her back. And when she looked at him, he too had the face of King Throstle-Beard. In a kind voice he said to her, "Don't be afraid. I and the fiddler with whom you lived in the wretched hovel are one and the same person. I disguised myself for love of you. I, too, was the drunken soldier who rode into your stall and knocked over your pots. These things have happened to break your haughty spirits and to punish you for your pride." She wept and sobbed bitterly. "I was very wrong," she said, "and I am not worthy to be your wife." He comforted her. "The past is over," he said. "Now we will celebrate our wedding feast in earnest." At this, ladies-in-waitings came and arrayed her in splendid clothes, and her father and his whole court came and wished her joy on her marriage to King Throstle-Beard. Thus the story ends of King Throstle-Beard and his wife. Oh, did you fall asleep on me, little one?
No, he didn't.
Did you enjoy that story? So, the story of King Throstle-Beard is a nice telling of how certain young ladies should not be so prideful and boast. Don't be picky, for you probably don't know how good you might actually have it. But through hard work, she seemed to change the way. She realized that she wasn't as good and great as she thought she was. And it was the great King Throstle-Beard, the person she made fun of most, who worked hard. Yes, he deceived her, but worked hard to teach her. And thus they lived together in a marriage. Do you enjoy the story, Dahi? Say hi to everyone.
You mean bye?
Bye, Niamore. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you, everyone who was watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got to enjoy meeting my son, young Dahi Vong, sweet little Dahi Vongsa, who is the ruler of this hospital. Yeah? Alright.
He just looks grumpy.
Thank you again. Love you, Niamore. Love you, Dahi.